if we understand what this is all connected to, then we'll offer ourselves fully to its least aspect. Hariparanaka koti prishta parjanta simha. Radharani taking the least aspect of Krishna is greater, millions of times greater than the highest aspect of herself. That's the proper conception. Saraswati Thakur begins his commentary in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, written by Vrindavan Das Thakur, who's a Parshad of Nityananda Prabhu, but by first speaking about the glories of Radha and Krishna. And he also mentions there, and he's saying that Vrindavan Das Thakur is telling us that if you try to search for pastimes, like of Krishna Gopi pastimes, and try and extract that from the pastimes of Mahaprabhu and his devotees in Navadip, Puri, etc., you're misdirected and wasting your time, and you'll end up in offense, aparad. So then, but at the same time, it's meant to take you in the direction of that plane. But see how cautiously and carefully it's being presented there. And then, what is the basis for this? He's saying, so the topics of Krishna, hearing about Krishna, they're like gems, chintamani gems, jewels. Said, and if you possess some jewels, where do you keep them? Everyone should know. If you have some valuable jewel, you keep them in a very safe place. Right? And he says, what is the safe place for all the jewels of the pastimes of Krishna and Mahaprabhu? Is in the mouths of Anantashesh, who's an expansion of Balaram Nityananda. In his thousands heads, we're told the universes are resting on his heads without him knowing it. It's not like, I gotta get these universes off my head. He doesn't even know they're there. They're nothing. It's not that he's like straining or getting a migraine from all these universes. They're just there without any effort, effortlessly. But in his mouths, his thousand mouths, that's where the jewels of the pastimes of Mahaprabhu and of Krishna, they're all there. And he's saying the glories of the pastimes of Krishna since before the beginning of time, and continuously, and unable to exhaust the glories of the Lord. So he's making the case that this is not something, we're not interested in something that is the imagination of a human being. Right? So it means that actually Shastra proper, Shabda Brahma, spiritual sound, divine revelation, it necessarily must descend from the upper world into this plane through a qualified agent. Vrindavan Das Thakur, on the basis of his unalloyed devotion to Nityananda Prabhu, is qualified. And what he's presenting is not, as we say, netihasa nikalpana, not historical in the conventional sense of the word, neither is imagination. It is divine revelation passing through him. So he is, at the beginning of his work, praising Nityananda Prabhu and Gaur Nityananda. Right? And saying, only in this way, only by the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu can these things be expressed. Remember, he's Ananta Shesh. All the glories of Krishna are coming from him. The first other than Krishna is Balaram, who's the source of, Mul Sankarshan, Maha Sankarshan, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, Kiradakshai Vishnu, whom all the avatars into this world. And Kaviraj Goswami, the same, saying, Preme Mata Nityananda Kripa Avatar. There are many different avatars, but he's called him the Kripa Avatar, the mercy avatar. He's saying, by the grace of Nityananda Prabhu, did I get entrance in the Vrindavan, where by the grace of Madan Gopal, Madan Mohan, I'm able to express the Sri Chaitanya Charitamritam, the internal reason for the descent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Srila Guru Maharaj was at the inauguration of the ISKCON Chandradoya Mandir at Srila Prabhupada's invitation, the talk he gave, to this day, I would expect Guru Maharaj in that context to give a more general talk, and he started to. It's like when Mahaprabhu's the Sanatan Shiksha, and he's giving going in a particular way in terms of the instructions, and then he goes on this divine tangent on the beauty and sweetness of Krishna, and it's just divine madness. And then he's saying, that's not what I meant to say. What was I talking about before? So Guru Maharaj, he's saying about different domains, like this city is the place of Rajagun and certain parts Tamagun, and the forest was traditionally Sattvagun, and that kind of environment is conducive for an ashram. He's talking now, because Prabhupada took these rice fields in Mayapur and turned it into a spiritual city as envisioned by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So he's talking about what different environments are conducive for in terms of culture. And he means to say, so in this place, well, of course, we just heard Narottam say, Grihe ba bonite take, ha goranga bole dake. Narottam doesn't care where you're from or which ashram you're in. If you're mad about Gauranga, he's mad about you. That's it, basically. Same thing, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Grihe tako, bane tako, sada hari bole dako. Same thing. But still, Guru Maharaj is using this as a point that he was making, and he always speaks thematically. And that's when he mentioned that Srila Saraswati Thakur, his campaign was to establish a Krishna temple in the heart of everyone, of every living being, you can say, but at least, everyone, and the heart of everyone, because you can say, remember, they're opening a temple. Remember, Guru Maharaj, he's always speaking thematically. There's time. What is that environment that is best for spiritual culture? You'll pick that place. And then saying, but our Guru Maharaj, he said, actually, my campaign is to make a temple in everyone's heart. And then he said something, because Guru Maharaj is always speaking thematically, but what will come to him is not always known. It is, but new things may come also. I'll never know. Well, maybe someday, because I didn't get to ask him. But he starts talking about Gopi Bhajan. And he's saying, and he used the word cloister. And this is the beautiful part where he's saying, connecting the two, he's saying, but Gopi Bhajan is that the heart should be the cloister. Not that there's a cloister somewhere and you go there and do your spiritual things and then you go back into the world. Right? He's saying, in Gopi Bhajan, those are his exact words, he said, the cloister is the heart. And I realized, oh, he said Saraswati Thakur's program was to make every heart a temple for Krishna. And then just while we're on the subject, he said something, again, I think some divine flow came to him. He said, if you take the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, he said, one day you will find yourself in his harem. And I thought, I was saying, Guru Maharaj, you're giving a general talk here. That's what he said. You have to listen very carefully. But that's what he said at that meeting. If you take the name of the Lord, one day you will find and very excited, you will find yourself in his harem. And, oh my God. So we don't normally say that. That surprised me. But then, so he's saying, this is what he's come to do. Saraswati Thakur, Guru Maharaj is saying these things, using the word Gopi Bhajan. And what do we hear? Six Goswami, Gopi Bhava Rasamritab Dilahari Kalola Magno Muhur. It says they're like drowning in waves of Gopi Bhav. That's why they have the minimal amount of necessity for any sustenance. Right? It's not that by denying themselves they have achieved this. It's on account of what their internal nourishment that they need the minimum from the external plane. It says in the conclusion of the Upadeshamritam that to bathe in the waters of Radha Kunda, to enter those divine waters, which Guru Maharaj said is Srimati Radharani in liquid form. It's not ordinary water, or as we conceive. And praise style for the Parama Preshta Sakis, her most intimate serving group, it is a rare achievement. Then what to speak of others? That is one of the points being made there. Srimati Radharani says, Anyara Hridayaman Moraman Vrindavan. Says, in my mind, and taking it that the mind and heart are one, is synonymous with Vrindavan itself. So in this way, we can understand Vrindavan as a construct of the heart of Srimati Radharani, of her serving tendency. Right? These different spiritual planes are identified and qualified according to depths of dedication. We're accustomed to think of planets, stars in space, and distance in terms of miles, kilometers, light years. There's some system of measurement. Right? But the system of measurement for the spiritual planets, the spiritual domains, is degree of dedication. That is what distinguishes the lower hemisphere of the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, from the upper hemisphere, the Adhokshaja, the Aprakrita plane of Goloka Vrindavan. And Rupa Goswami addresses this in the Upadeshamritam. In the slogan it says, Vaikuntaj janito bara madhupuri tatrapi rasotsavad. He's saying there why Mathura is superior to Vaikuntha. Sometimes Guru Maharaj described it. He said, where Sanatana Goswami goes step by step by step in gradual development in Brihad Bhagavatamritam, he said Rupa Goswami leaps from Vaikuntha to Mathura, and bypassing Ayodhya along the way. And he says, why is Mathura superior to Vaikuntha? Vaikuntaj janito bara madhupuri, because of the birth pastimes. The Vaikuntha world is qualified and characterized as 2.5 rasas, Shanta rasa, Dasya, and in the case of some old-time servitors, the beginning of Sakya rasa, some friendship. Whereas normally we'll take at the beginning of parental, Vatsalya rasa is in Ayodhya, and the introduction of conjugal seva to Sita, but beyond that, it's extended to the 16,108 queens in Dwaraka, and Parakya rasa is introduced in Vrindavan. But I once asked Srila Guru Maharaj, just thinking about these things, I said, then there must be a difference between a blade of grass in Vaikuntha and a blade of grass in Vrindavan. And we'll think, well, they're both Shantarasa. But if I'm following what you're saying, then their mood of devotion would be different. And Guru Maharaj's response was, of course. And he explained the principle that in Vrindavan, although we'll take it, there's Shantarasa, the trees, the grass, Jamuna, cows, birds, bumblebees, peacocks, and then the friends, the Gopabalaks, the gopis, Nanda, Yashoda, the elderly gopis, the gopis who breastfed Krishna as their child for a year, some Vatsalya rasa, and then the Parakya rasa of the Braja gopis. Srila Gurudev was once explaining something along these lines, and he's mentioned, it's in the book called Religion of the Heart. Speaking of the heart, Religion of the Heart. And there he mentions that the impetuousness of Krishna. Sometimes we know Mother Yasoda's tending to milk, or she's cooking something or whatever, and Krishna wants her attention, and he wants it now. And he wants her to stop everything that she's doing and attend to his wants and desires immediately. So, discussing this, Srila Gurudev said, this is Parakya rasa, right? Parakya bhav. So it was published in the book originally, something along the lines that someone pointed out. It seemed to be indicating paramour relationship between Yashoda and Krishna. How is that possible? This must be incorrect. It should be, some improper siddhanta has been given. But if we look carefully, that was not what was being said. What Srila Gurudev was pointing out, this impetuous mood of Krishna was indicative of Parakya bhav. And we say Parakya, it means the sense of another. So Srila Guru Maharaj has explained in Goloka Vrindavan that Parakya is the predominating sentiment. The cowherd boys, they hear rumors that Gopal is not one of us. Or they're thinking that themselves. He does extraordinary things. I think some people say Gopal is not one of us. That makes them nervous. And the outcome is it makes them express a greater depth of love in the being confronted with his otherness. Mother Yashoda will say, she will hear rumors that Krishna is not her son. That some people say he's the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, and that he was transferred from Mathura to here. She doesn't like to hear that. Again, that is Parakiya Bhav, the sense that Krishna belongs to another. And what is the end result? A greater flow of love and affection from the heart of Yashoda. So when some devotees partially hearing analysis about Shantarasya, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhura, Swakya, Parakiya, somehow invoking Guru Maharaj's name, they were demeaning Vatsalya Rasa. When the news of this came to Guru Maharaj's ear, he said, my heart is mortified to hear this. He said, what do they think it is? He said, and don't they know? He said, the first duty every morning of Radharani and Brajagopis when they rise in the morning is they go to the doorstep of Yashoda and give their dandavats and thank the Lord for Yashoda, without which there would be no Krishna. Vrindavana hoite Shrestha Govardhana Shaila, Gandharvika Giridhari Jata Kridda Koila. Why? Govardhan is superior to Vrindavan, Radha Kunda to Govardhan, then Radha Kunda, Saraswati Thakur explained once, the bank of Radha Kunda and the waters of Radha Kunda. Gradation, 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 higher, finer, more refined. So to bathe in those waters means in a particular level of self-giving and self-sacrifice. So sometimes Srila Guru Maharaj would say, 24 hours engagement in Krishna consciousness to the extreme is only possible in Madhura Rasa. At the end of the Upadeshamritam, some advice is given about bathing in the waters of Radha Kunda. Srila Guru Maharaj quotes Saraswati Thakur saying, that is not water in the conventional sense. To bathe in the waters of Radha Kunda means to bathe in the waters of a particular level of Atmanivedana, of dedication and self-sacrifice. Saying one should bathe in those waters of self-giving to the extreme. That is why it is qualified as Radha Kunda. Radharani is the one that Krishna can be himself with. He's holding back in every other way. And Ram Leela is constrained by niti, rajniti. Right? And other avatars, they have a purpose. Or it's some kind of Leelic play. Ek Patni Ramachandra, one wife in Ram Leela. Dwaraka, 16,108 queens. That seva is expanded to 16. But what about Parakiya? Do you have to go to Mathura Vrindavan for that? Right? And what is that? The forbidden element makes it even sweeter. I mean, I grew up in southern Maryland. There were these tobacco farms and horses, but also apple orchards. And these farmers, they would write their own signs, like, no trespassing, violators may be shot. You can't actually do that, but they would $250 fine. And what we would do is like, now! And we'd climb over the fence and go up the tree, pick the apples, come back, go back over the fence, and then run away and hide under the tree, like, with our hearts pounding and everything, and we're eating these apples. And we thought, these are the best. But actually, we have apples at home on a bowl on the table. Apples, bananas, oranges, peaches, all kinds of fruits. But why did we think these were better? Because they were forbidden and stolen. And the amount of risk that was involved, we risked getting shot by somebody to get them. Hearts pounding, So they were just so much better than the ones like sitting on the table at home, and the bowl looks like a painting. So, see, Krishna and Radharani, Sri Radha, they're not married. They're boyfriend and girlfriend. And Radharani has a husband. And you say, why is that? Because, see, again, this stealing, forbiddenness, that makes it sweeter. It's the same thing. But because of the forbidden nature, you're doing something wrong, it tastes better. And that's what Krishna likes. So, they're always trying to catch Krishna and Radharani. And especially this one elderly gopi, I think Kutila, she's always saying, she's like the mother-in-law. And she goes, that girl and that boy, they're together again, I know it. And she's telling Radharani's husband, you fool, you know, your wife is with that boy right now, with that cowherd, that lowly cowherd. She's with him while we're speaking. Go look if you don't believe me, go look with your own eyes and see for yourself. And so they are together. And so Abhimanyu, her husband, he goes, oh, okay. So, and there's Radha and Krishna. And so when they're together, so Krishna becomes Durga Devi, the goddess. And he's showing, 10 arms. And what he sees when he goes to see, and he sees Radharani, she's very respectfully like this, and she has puja paraphernalia, and she's doing arati and ringing the bell and chanting so many prayers. And Abhimanyu starts crying, my wife is so wonderful. What was I thinking? That's Krishna Lila. So you can understand why it's so addictive. Krishna always wants everyone to understand the glory, beauty, and supremacy of the devotees. So once, sometimes he gets sick. That's part of his pastimes. But once Krishna is like senseless, and he then appears as a physician, and Yashoda's very worried, thinking Krishna is like dying, and Krishna comes as this mystic physician, examines him. I can cure him. How, really, how? Require, simple actually, some water from the Jamuna. Yashoda, then we'll get it immediately. Well, one moment. Must be brought by a chaste girl. No problem. But some Jamuna water brought by a chaste girl, but the pot must be a porous pot, full of holes. Then I can cure him. So we're told Yashoda goes to the mother-in-law and sister-in-law, Radharani's, because we're told they're a little, they gossip about what's going on in Vrindavan and question that others are chaste. They have some like that. So Yashoda, she goes to them appealing So they must have the best reputation. That's the inference. So she approaches them, and when she explains the requirement that the pot will be full of holes and it'll only be done by a chaste girl, they're thinking, oh no, this is impossible. But Gaura said, Yashoda, in her madness, the intensity of her madness convinces, who is it? Jatila and Kuti, that they must do this. And the Radharani's mother-in-law goes first, she tries, all the water comes out, people are like, oh, you know. Then the other one, same thing, and they're like, oh. And Yashoda's saying, is there not a chaste girl in Vrindavan? In the whole of Vrindavan, we don't have a chaste girl? This is Krishna. Right? And Krishna lying, and the physician there, who's also Krishna. You know. Then you go to Radharani. And everything, they've heard rumors about Radharani, Krishna, this, that. And they go to Radharani, and she's thinking, also, this is impossible, and only if Krishna will help me can I possibly do this. And her Sakis, all of her Shifra, they gather with her, and they all go down to Jamuna, and Radharani's got the porous pot, and everyone's hoping, and she pulls the water, and it's perfect. Not a drop. And they bring it back, and Krishna lying, and they're administering, and Krishna's coming back to life and getting his senses, coming back to Krishna consciousness. That he wanted everyone to know, she's the real chaste person, not this show. And chaste to what? To whom? To him and his divine will, whatever he wants. She's prepared to sacrifice her reputation, herself, her life, her everything on the altar of self-giving to Krishna. Aradita, Aradhana, Srimati Radharani. And what does she say? I have this reputation in the world that I have so much devotion to Krishna, but my bad fortune is actually I could not give myself to him fully. That's how she thinks. Bhaktivinoda Thakur lamenting when he left the world, I couldn't serve you, my Lord. Guru Dam Grantadam Gauradam Namadam Uda Bhakti Dam Buddhidam Bande Bhakti Vinodadam Sadam, who gave us everything. I couldn't serve you, my Lord. That's the mood of the devotees. How should anyone else think? Or how should those who are aspiring servitors of her servants think if the supreme leader personification of Krishna consciousness is saying, I couldn't give myself? Radharani's heart is like a lighthouse of Krishna Prem, right? Illuminating all the spiritual existence, and of which this existence is merely a perverted reflection. The heart of Radharani is illuminating the spiritual world, revealing all service to Krishna. So Bhargo by Rishabhanu Jatma Bhivavai, Sri Puram. The whole spiritual world, Vrindavan in particular, is an expression, divinely conscious soil of her serving tendency to Krishna and the expression and extension of that. It is seva mayoyam loka. It is difficult for us to conceive the erotic principle expressed as seva, but nonetheless, it is in that plane. And Guru Maharaj mentions Sanatana Goswami saying, as an example, again, that we hear of Baladev having rasa lila pastimes with Braja Gopis, and Sanatana Goswami says, in his heart, it's an offering to Krishna. Just as devotees do different service, Baladev's offering this from his heart in service to Krishna. Sanatana Goswami Prabhu reveals that. So the complexity of the language of Saraswati Thakur is to save us from imposing lower, misconceived, polluted concepts of eros upon the Supreme Entity and his loving associates, which is the ultimate disaster. Why the 5 chapters of the Rasa Leela appear in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 29 to 34? 10 cantos before that, beginning with the Janmad Yasya Yataha, all the way up, 1st canto, 2nd, all of these things expressed there. Sukadev's introduction in the 2nd canto, Grihita Cheta Rajarse Akyanam Yadaditavan, Parinirstitopi Nairgunye Uttama Sloka Lilaya. Sukadev, why is he delivering these things? Because they're so apt to be misunderstood. So the agent has to be someone who is beyond the Saguna world, even the highest aspect of the Saguna world, Sattvagun. What's Sukadeva Goswami? Why is he legendary? That he was liberated in the womb of his mother before he came out. The others, when Parikshit Maharaj is asking advice, they are giving advice based upon what was helpful to them to overcome mundane tendencies. And Parikshit Maharaj says, but you're recommending this, he's recommending that. I need your consensus. 7 days, I have a short time. Everybody get together and form a consensus of how I should proceed. That's when Sukadeva arrives. And they think, oh, here's that legendary Sukadeva Goswami. Right? How detached was he? It's described, you know how he was dressed, what he was wearing? Digambara. That means he was dressed in the 10 directions. He was wearing the 10 directions. It's a very beautiful, sweet, poetic way of saying that he was naked. Digambara. That's it. Ambara means dress, and Dig means all the direction. Digambara, he's wearing north, south, nothing. So he didn't even care for a loincloth. But he looked so beautiful. 16 years old, there's a description of the beauty of his neck, like a conch shell, his form, his skin color, everything. And all these sages who were expert in the art of physiognomy, they thought, here's the qualified person to answer your question. So although they're big sages with long beards, they elevate a 16-year-old boy to the presidential seat, and he'll answer the king's inquiries. So that's Sukadev. Why is he selected? Because when he leaves Vedavyas's ashram, what appears to be an anecdotal incident is very significant. It needs to be there. This one little story that the Divya Devis, they're bathing naked. These like heavenly ladies, they're bathing naked in a pond. And when Sukadev goes by, they don't bother to cover themselves. But when Veda Vyas comes, Vedavyas, who's given the Mahabharata, compiled the Vedas, Puranas, etc. When he comes, they cover themselves out of shyness. He said, I don't know, why? They said, well, that boy, we can see in his eyes, there's no impurity there. He's not the male-female thing. That's not in his eyes. There's not even a hint or a tinge of enjoying tendency or exploiting tendency in his gaze. So that's one way they're certifying he has no interest in mundane eroticism of any kind, even remotely. That's why he becomes the agent for broadcasting the erotic pastimes of Radha and Krishna. A man who has no interest in these things, never did, wasn't once conditioned. No, he was never conditioned. That's why he says, by way of introduction, Parinishti-topi nirgunye, nirgunye uttama shloka lilaya. I was situated in nirguna plane, beyond all mundane. We would think, well, that should be enough, shouldn't it? He says, but in that liberated position, I heard the Uttama Sloka, the pastimes, the slokas expressing the pastimes of Radha and Krishna and Brajagopis, and I was captured, heart, soul, consciousness, and carried away to another domain that was vastly superior that I didn't know existed previously. That's why he's selected. And it certifies that this erotic principle in unalloyed devotion, the pastimes of Radha and Krishna and Brajagopis, are 100% pure. They're not tinged by even trace amounts of exploitive tendencies. So the gopis' prem appears to be calm, lust. But it's not like the lust of this world that we call prem, love. But it appears to be similar. So I say, aprakrita. Prakrita means mundane. Aprakrita means like the mundane, but not. So, and not only with regard to erotic concepts, but all of it. Whatever we have here is a perverted reflection. It's a perverted reflection of neutrality, a perverted reflection of servitorship, perverted reflection of friendship, a perverted reflection of parental love, a perverted reflection of conjugal love, a perverted reflection of paramour. But it's similar, but different. As North Pole and South Pole are similar, but at diametrically opposed. Worlds apart, at the extremes, not just a little different. Opposites. Kamandatama prem nirmala bhaskar. That's what I mean by North Pole, South Pole, worlds apart. So it's saying kam, andatama means dense darkness. And Guru said, nirmal bhaskar means dense light. As darkness can be dense and thick, so can light. And this light, it's not like the light here, the light, this artificial light or sunlight or any such thing. You have to reconceive light. And when we think Jyoti, and this way it's connected. Jyoti, I think illumination. We know to become enlightened, right? Illumined, that's another type of luminosity. Right? Light, illumination, is revelation. So what is light in the conscious plane? I'm not talking about objective light. We see the sunrise, how beautiful it is, and it is. It's been compared to the lotus eyes of Vishnu. But Guru Maharaj, in his Gayatri explanation, Om Bhur Bhuva Sat Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo, saying this superficially appears to be talking about the sun. How the sun is illuminating the world, right? The sun reveals the world. When we're in the, especially the Krishna Paksha, means the dark moon, no visible moon. Wait for the sunrise to reveal everything. But he's saying, Bhur, Bhuva, Sva, the whole world of experience, the lower, middle, higher planetary systems, means the world of experience, the objective world. It appears on one level to be revealed by the sun, but actually it's Atma, the soul, that reveals everything. Without the conscious observer, it's meaningless. So really, it's a position occupied by the soul, Atma, and by extension, Paramatma. So there is the Paramatma domain, world, that is Varenyam, worshipable. And here, Bhargo Bhai, Brishubhanu, Jatma Vibhavai, Daitatma Vaibhavam. Guru Maharaj is saying, and Srimati Radharani, the halo of Srimati Radharani is faith in that which reveals Krishna and Krishna conception. We're talking about her bhav and kanti, her halo, heart and halo. The halo is the outcome of her heart. So it's the heart of Srimati Radharani that is actually illuminating Krishna conception and the service of Krishna. And without that, it's all imagination, fictitious, wallpaper, air bhajan, just a play. So heart-to-heart transaction. From whose heart to whom? What is in the heart? What is the quality of that heart? What is being transferred? Not that after, hitchhiking the universe, we're a little curious about divinity or Krishna. Radha Ruchi Rucharitam, Guru Rupa Hrim Gauram. And when Krishna takes the Guru Rupa, the form of Guru, Radha Ruchi, he becomes Gauranga. It's Krishna enveloped under the influence of the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani. Then Swabhaktebyam Sudham Nijabhajana Mudram Upadisham. Then he's teaching what is Krishna consciousness. It's very interesting, because we take it that Guru is the functioning principle of divinity revealing himself. But when he wants to teach devotion, takes the position of Mahaprabhu. Has to be under the influence of Srimati Radharani. To give a full, proper conception of Krishna. A devotional conception of Krishna. Everyone already knows so much about Krishna. Or thinks they do. But he has come to broadcast the greatness of Sri Radhar Mahima, her glories, Prema Rasasima, and what is the highest type of Krishna Prem. That he wants to be known. Krishna descends as Mahaprabhu to reveal that in the world. and to bring others in connection with that divine substance. Anarpita charim chirat korna avatirna kalo samarparitam unatojvala rasam subhakti sriyam. And you think, if Mahaprabhu descended, Radha Bhava Duti Subalita, enveloped in the heart and halo of Radharani, why didn't he come in a female form? And those who are, why didn't they descend in female forms? Because it's so likely to be misunderstood, because that's the principal illusion of existence. This is it. You don't have to look far or overthink it. It's about this. Eros, the erotic principle, that is the basis of material existence. This, Bhakti Freud got it right. Right? It is the thing. Right? It's the driving principle of material existence. Whatever his flaws may be on this, he got it right. This is it. It's permeating everything. He would go so far as to say that even like the arts, for example, music, literature, and other type of art, all the result of repressed sexual desire. That's what's fueling all of this artistic expression and everything else. And we see here at this time, when it normally rains more, when all the animation comes out, all these different living beings, and they start making, what do you think they're talking about? It's primarily males trying to attract females. That's what all the cacophony is. That's what all the cacophony of the human civilization is, primarily. This principle, eros, the erotic principle. It's the driving principle of existence. And if we take it, as given in Bhagavad Gita, Urdhva, what is it? Mulam Adashakam, slogan saying, this world is a perverted reflection of the original, then we can understand it must occupy it must be in the primary position in the spiritual existence. So, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, and his interpretation of the first line of the Bhagavatam, which reiterates what was given in Vedanta, Janmadyasya Yataha, Janmadyasya Yatan, Jan Adi. It's normally means Janma Adi, means like creation, etc. But his Vishwanath, always extracting this divine substance, and he's saying, here it means Adi, that word Adi, will not be interpreted here as meaning like etc., but rather the original. And what it's telling us is that Madhura Rasa is the original substance from which everything comes. It's the original. It's not merely that we would know anything, Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsal, and it culminates in Madhura Rasa. That's not untrue. But what is more to the point in this context is that there is Madhura Rasa at the center. That means Radha and Krishna and their divine paraphernalia and associates. And from there, everything is coming. Vatsalya, Sakya, Dasya, Shanta. It is the original substance from which everything is coming. How sweet is that? Right? So, and that substance, Madhura Rasadi, Sri Radha Pada, Sevanamritam, Shamalila Avalambam, it's all dependent upon one person. Right? In this sense, all of Krishna's happiness, right, means Srimati Radharani, the better half of the sweet absolute. So Gurman says, so although the Bhagavatam, although ostensibly her name is not mentioned there, right? Why? Different explanations are given. One being, so confidential is the nature of what is being discussed, that, like names are being withheld. Right? But Sanatana Goswami Prabhu, in his own explanation, his Brihad Bhagavatamritam Teek, says that, and this reveals something about Sukadeva Goswami, he's saying, if he vibrates the holy name of Srimati Radharani or the Braja Gopis, it will ignite such a fire of separation in his heart that he will become dysfunctional. He'll be unable to continue. How holy is her name? So why we cannot countenance the casual as become a fashion to casually take her name for anything and everything. It's unfortunate. Sukadeva Goswami, he cannot vibrate that name. It will ignite a fire of separation in his heart so deep, he'll be practically destroyed and dysfunctional. That's how holy the name of Srimati Radharani is. So Guru Maharaj is saying, although her name ostensibly is not mentioned in the Bhagavatam, Pratipadam, every step, along the way, is meant to take you to one place, the service of her holy lotus feet. That is the purpose of the Bhagavatam. Because why? Because there, the highest quality, the highest quantity of Krishna conception is revealed, distributed. Therefore, her name is Krishnamoyi. The Chaitanya Charitamritam, as Guru Maharaj said, it is the greatest literature to have ever seen the light of day in all time, all space, and all creations. That is the book through which everything else can be understood. Gita, Bhagavatam, anything else must be through the lens of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Why? Because, Mahaprabhu Dutiya Kalevar, Mahaprabhu II, his other self, Swarup Damodar, he wrote the notes, Raghunath Das expanded them, and they extended it to Krishna Das. It's incomparable. Charitamritam is so perfect. Kaviraj Goswami gives you a couple verses from Ujjala Nilamani, Govinda Lilamritam. Mentions Vidyapati and Chandidas, and hardly a line to be found from them. So what does that tell you? Like, then I got to get a copy of that. No, you don't. Unless you just want to worship it, put it on yourself and do a puja or something. But that he's selected a few means that's what you give your attention to. And if you can appreciate the few that he's given exposure to, then something further could be considered. So, and then an example also, like in the West, the poets, and the English poetry took the Italian forms to express and all that, and the great poets there. And I don't mean to demean them in any way, I revere them. But they speak of assonance, alliteration, and different types of rhymes and all these things. And it's true and it's wonderful. I also employ it from time to time. But in the poetry of Jayadev, when Mahaprabhu would hear this, he would go into an ecstatic trance for 9 hours at what the emotions flooding his heart. But the beauty of it, Gurudev would sometimes, what did Manasa Krishna Prabhu say? He said, good for chanting but not telling, or in other words, I can chant this but I'm not going to explain it. And I'll say, I'm going to chant this, and I couldn't explain it, so you don't have to worry. But just the sound of it is so beautiful. And if you listen, first I'll just say it, and then point out something and say it again. Lalita lavanga lata parishilana kamala malaya samire Maru kara bi kara karumbita ko kila kujita kunja kutire. So if you listen to the verse like la 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 lalita lavanga lata parishila na kamala la 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 kamala samire, then ka maru karabi kara karambita ko kila. So la 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 ka, and then what? Kunjita kuja kutire ku, like the coquilles we have here. So la 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 ka ku. It's so beautiful. That's just like what's going on that level. You can't even, if it's so beautiful there, whatever's being expressed there, I'm not bothered by not knowing. You know, and it's enough for me to know that when Mahaprabhu would hear this, it would cry incessant tears and it would put him in a trance. So until my Guru Varga explains that to me, I'm quite content and not eager to hear it from so-and-so. One girl to me once, she said, Maharaj, can you tell me about the Rasa Leela? And I go, no, what are you going to tell me about it? He goes, no, and it was in Calcutta. He goes, no, but a man on the bus was explaining it to me. Oh, that guy on the bus, right. Who we're supposed to, target. Right. So, when Jayadev, and see, the humility of he's like, when they count the poets, they go like 1, 2, and I don't even know if they get to 3. It's like 2.5 or something. But Jayadev's certainly in there. So this Gita Govinda. And he's so great, but he doesn't assume anything. Like Gurudev, he's so great, but something would come up, he would sometimes make anonymous phone calls to lower level devotees in other places, just to see what they were saying. And then factor that in with his calculation. He didn't think, I'm Govinda Maharaj, trained by Guru Maharaj, lauded by Swami Maharaj, Madhava Maharaj, No, he's saying I have to carefully consider this and meditate, think, and pray. Is it right or not? So Jayadev, he's not saying, I am arguably one of the greatest poets of all time. Anything I write is gold, golden, inspired. He doesn't think like that. So we're told that in love affairs, we observe it in this world, but it's mentioned by Rupa Goswami that sometimes there's a cause for anger, like Krishna going through the courtyard to the house of another gopi. But sometimes there is no cause. There's no legitimate reason. It's just a mood. So anyway, he has to consider all these things. And he's writing and got some flow, the inspiration's coming, And then he writes, he thinks of writing something and goes, I'm getting carried away. This is too much. I need to take a break, put down the quill or the scribe, whatever, and go bathe, take a little prasadam, maybe rest a little, think about that. This is too much. Yeah, maybe it might even be offensive. Right, and I'm going to have aparad in my poetry. No. And what he's referring to is in these loving quarrel of Radha and Krishna, that at one point Krishna realizes that he's behaved inappropriately and he feels apologetic and he bows down, he gets on his hands and knees and touches the holy lotus feet of Srimati Radharani and begs forgiveness. And that's when you're like, this is my imagination, or I'm going insane, I'm losing my mind, or this is an ego exercise, like stop. So he doesn't write that. He like, put the pen down, step away from the palm leaf. So he goes to bathe, and then he takes some prasadam. And while he's doing that, Krishna takes the form of Jayadev Goswami, like perfectly, to a hair, DNA, and beyond. So then Krishna comes, and he writes in these words, Dehi Padapalavam Udharam. Right? And then puts the pen down, and then Jayadev's wife sees her husband and serves him. And the custom in that time, the wife serves the husband, and then after he's done, then she takes. So and you're like, oh, such appetite he has today, increase. Like, oh, have more, and like he's relishing all of this, because Krishna, Bhavagrahi Janardana, he can't resist devotion. It's not an act. Right? He's really enjoying this. It's what he does. Right? So then he goes to the room, vanish. And then Padmavati, now she's taking. That's Jayadev's wife. Then I was going to say the real Jayadev, but I'm not even sure. But anyway, Jayadev comes back from it, and he sees his wife eating, and that's like not the custom. And he goes, why are you eating now? I haven't taken anything. And she's going, what? No, what do you mean? You ate so much. No, I've not eaten a thing. He said, my dear husband, you finished your manuscript and seemed to be pleased with what you'd written there. Then you bathed, came here, took present. What? No, I could not finish. No, you finished. And he goes and sees, and in the manuscript he sees, written by Krishna, probably in his handwriting though. He's a great forger, that Krishna. Right? Dehi Padapalavam, he wrote that. What Jayadev was did not trust what was coming from his heart. Right? We say, Hridayena binu gato yo dharmasta nibodhata. But the higher devotees, they don't trust that, in a sense. They only trust the hearts of other devotees. They think, what has come to me? It's suspect. But if they say, no, Prabhu, we think it's something real and wonderful. Then they go, oh, how fortunate I am. The Vaishnavas say that this has substance. Then maybe it does, it must. I have faith in them. Vaishnavi pratista tate korunishta. When that pragmatist said, we should concern ourselves with the opinions of those who matter. And he means to make a case for humanism. And I thought like, no, you're right. And, Vox Populi is not Vox Dei. And I don't mean to be insensitive in a normal sense of the world, but the opinion of these people, and if you have any experience at all in the world, it doesn't matter. So whose opinions matter? Vaishnavi pratista tate korunishta. The Vaishnavas, what is their opinion? Right? So I don't mean we should be cruel or callous. I shouldn't have to give a footnote every 5 minutes that I'm speaking in a particular context. Right? People need to move on and understand the value of negativity and stop with all the positive stuff. That will be another talk. Superconductors of negativity. Negativity is humility. But so then that Jayadev seeing like what I hesitated to express, I was not overly confident in my own assessment of things. Krishna wrote, and like, oh my God, he wants people to know this. That he gets on his hands and knees and bows down and touches the lotus feet of Radharani and begs her forgiveness. He wants the world to know that. He wants it to be broadcast from the mountains. Right? That's the kind of Lord he is, and that's how great she is. But we would be remiss if we didn't say, another song, Kim Padante, that Guru Maharaj would quote from Rupa Goswami Padjali, were saying that Radharani always wins. That we should know. She always wins. When Krishna wants to do that and those things, and he's like, and she says, what are you doing? Have you lost your mind? I am the offender. Everyone says, I have so much devotion to you, and I am the greatest. Radhe, Radhe. He said, it's not true. I'm a fraud. I couldn't give myself to you. Na prema gandasti darapi me haro krandami sobhagya param bikashitam. I don't have a scent of the fragrance of Krishna prem, what to speak of a drop of that divine substance. That resonates in the heart of Mahaprabhu. Those are the things from Radharani he's expressing. Not erotic, that's likely to be interpreted as mundane. Never. Right? These things. Saraswati Thakur would meticulously suppress any emotion lest neophytes be misled. Right? There are very rare occasions. Like they saw, he was just looking at the Chaitanya Bhagavat being proofread, and they saw like all these different ecstatic symptoms and waves go over his divine form, while he is doing his best to suppress them. Ahoy tukiya pratyata, Guru Maharaj means irresistible, causeless and irresistible. So the first line of defense for the devotees is to resist. And if you can resist it, it's not that thing. If it cannot be resisted, it may be. Then again, you may be cheating yourself into thinking it is. And he says, Krandami soba, but you don't have a drop of it. We see Ganga-like tears pouring out of your eyes. And Guru Maharaj would say, Mahaprabhu was saying, oh, you don't know. That is to deceive the innocent public into thinking I'm a Krishna Das and that I have some affection for Krishna. But it's not true. It's to deceive people that I'm crying and showing these things. That's from Mahaprabhu, who's Radha Baba Duty enveloped in the heart of Radharani, and the radiance of that heart is turned Shyama Sundar into Gauranga Sundar. So, at Saraswati Thakur, who meticulously suppressing any display of emotion, lest neophytes be misled. Guru said, behind closed doors with a select group of disciples, when he would quote the Vilapa Kusumanjali of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, his prayers in separation from Rup, Sanatan, and Srimati Radharani herself, he said, he would start wailing uncontrollably. And what are those slokas? What are Ashavare Amrita Sindhu Mai Katanchit Kalo Mayati Kamita Kila Sampratami Tom Chet Kripam Mai Vidasa Naiva Kimme Prane Rajema Chabororu Bakarinapi. You're saying, Ashavare, my aspiration is the service of your holy lotus feet. Guru said, a direct prayer to Radharani. Right? Is that appropriate? She's the devotee, ultimate. She is the, Ujjvala Rasa Acharya. She's the guru. She is guru in the ultimate sense. All gurus who are real and substantial are but her surrogates and delegated representatives. So he's praying to Guru, but the Supreme Guru, and saying, my aspiration is to serve your holy lotus feet. And without that, what is the value of my life? More important than my life, Vrindavan. More important than Vrindavan, Krishna. Krishna is a dreadful thing without you. That beautiful, inconceivably beautiful Shama Sundar Krishna, without you, Bakari Napi, the demon killer, not the sweet Krishna. So that verse would bring this waves of ecstatic emotions from him. Again, saying how important is her position. Yasya kadapi vachanam kailanota danyati danya pavanena kritartamani yogendram durgama gati marushudanopi tasya namostu vrishabhanu vibodhi shepi. Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur says that Krishna, why not use Krishna as an example? How does he feel about her? We hear what she feels about. How does he feel? What does he say? When Radharani is moving in the plane of service, if some breeze from her skirt comes upon Krishna, the breeze, he considers that he's achieved the most valuable treasure. And then what does he say? Yogendram Durga Magatima. That Madhusudan, right? Who's what? Yogendram means the king of the Yogendram Durga. The very rarely do they have a glimpse of what, his Paramatma feature. Right? What to speak of Krishna from a distance. Right? Yogendram Durga Magati Madhusudanopi Tasya Namostu Vrishabhanu Vibodhi Sepi. So what is Prabodhananda's conclusion? If Krishna is saying, the breeze from her skirt, I think I've got the most valuable treasure. Right? That Krishna, Madhusudana, who is very rarely glimpsed by the kings of the yogis, she's so great, then what is my position? Tasya namostu vrishabhanu vibodhi shepi. Then I worship the direction in which she appeared. That would be close enough for me, appropriate. The direction, the very direction in which she appeared is worshipable to me. Right? And he's Vrishabhanu, he doesn't even mention her name directly. That's why they don't do that. While all these fools are running around mindlessly saying her name. You don't see that ever from these devotees. How delicately they're dealing with this subject, but all the while maintaining this heart's aspiration for Radha Dasyam. Jadi gaur na hoite tabiki hoite, kamare dare tam dehe, Radhar mahima prema rasasima jagata janatake. Because we always think it's about Krishna, and certainly it is. But that Krishna, whom it's all about, he wants the world to know who is his beloved and that he considers her superior to him. So superior that he wants to experience what it's like to be her. That is inconceivable. So he descends as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When it's time for the Yuga Avatar, the Yuga Dharma, Nam Sankirtan. But who likes to sing the name of Krishna more than Radharani? So now, it's not, it could be saying like, what, Krishna, he wants to keep hearing his own name? As Radharani is hearing the name Krishna, and that's making him mad. And so full of ecstasy, he can't contain it, and it is released in ecstatic dance. It's overflowing, ecstatic, overflowing, an ecstatic dance. And what is he doing? Taking more Nam, Krishna, 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 Krishna Nama Kirtanam. Right? As we hear. Krishna Nama Siddhu Dhamma Danya Dana Sagaram Prema Dhamma Devameva Nomi Gaura Sundaram. So that Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wants the world to know Radhar Mahima, the greatness of Radharani. Right? No one is more Krishna conscious than her. If we are interested in the pursuit of Krishna consciousness, then it must be in connection with her. Otherwise, what kind of Krishna consciousness is that? And who is her greatest advocate? Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Krishna, enveloped in the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani. Radhar Mahima, Prema Rasa Sima. And he's plunging the depths of Radha Bhav to experience the limits or unlimits of her divine love. So Gurudev, again, very succinctly, he said, in a one sentence, he draws our focus. He said, what is Mahaprabhu's tasting matter? That's the sentence that he said. Right? We can say, as we will, and it's true, as we're approaching Gaur Purnima, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he descended for the Yuga Dharma. Vishwambaro, Ivadvijabaro, Yuga Dharma, Palo, Bande Jagat Priya Karo, the beginning of the Chaitanya Bhagavat. These two brothers, and it's very beautiful how they've come and is delivering the Yuga Dharma, which is Krishna Nama Sankirtanam. Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Samanas Tannamami Hari Priyam. The Bhagavatam concludes with this. Krishna Varnam Tisha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam Yagye Sankirtana Praye Yajanti Hi Sumedasa. The Sumedasa will get it. Others will not. Sumedasa, Guru Maharaj says, refined theistic intellect. They'll understand the primacy of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They are not peripheral. It's not, we thought so many, like there's Krishna consciousness, and then Prabhupada added Gaur Nitai. Wow, it just gets better. Yeah. They're not peripheral, the pastimes of Mahaprabhu. They're central. They're primary. It is through them that one makes their approach. Krishna himself has descended. Radha Krishna, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahayanya. This is their method of distributing Vrindavan, the Rasa Leela, Madhura Rasa, etc. It's not peripheral or optional. Think of those words. He's not saying, well, why did Mahaprabhu? He's saying, what is his tasting matter? The taste in Bangla, Sanskrit, ashva, like Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrushobhane Eva Svadyo Yasya Yenad Bhutama Aswadya, there it is, Swadya. One of the three reasons given for his descent, to experience the love, it says Vanayeva, that she alone possesses. That's very interesting. You mean to say like, Nanda, Yashoda, they don't possess this type of love? Don't they love Krishna? Yes, they do. The cowherd boys, the gopis, they all love Krishna. What does that mean when it says that she alone possesses? That is described as Mahabhav. Mahabhav Swarupini Radha Thakurani. She's the Mahabhav Swarup. Right? That means the highest type of Krishna Prem, its ultimate expression, highest quality and highest quantity. Because Vrindavan, as Guru Maharaj said, it's that plane where substance and form are one. We generally argue in favor of substance over form. As Guru Maharaj said, if it's seamless, that's great. If not, we lean towards substance. But he reminded us once, he said, but in Vrindavan, substance and form are one. Right? That's why the muktir hidvanyata rupam swarupena vibhastiti. And proper liberation proper, the swarup, the form is the expression of the devotee, of the devotion. Right? As I mentioned elsewhere, in the material world, that the body, the biological expression of the soul's delusion. Right? So the counterpart, if that's the word, what means the opposite. Anyway, the opposite of that would be that, well, what would be the expression of the soul's enlightened position? Swarup. As the mundane form is built upon exploiting tendencies, the spiritual form, the Swarup, is comprised of dedicating tendencies. Right? All Chinmoy, Vaikunter Pritivyadi Sakala Chinmoy, the spiritual form, they're all comprised of dedicating tendencies, a conglomeration of, so expressed. So all this devotion is expressed in a spiritual form. And even so far as the paraphernalia of that servitor, their clothing, if they have an instrument or something, it's part of their swarup. So, what is it it's saying? That she alone possesses. That was already indicated. Well, it's, when is almost irrelevant in these things. But in Ramananda Samvad, because it's Madhya 8, but when did it doesn't matter. Its own authorial voice is the proof. So the shorthand, because it has to be shown to what degree is she superior. Like if it's, what does that say? The Thai Urbe or Madhye Radhika Sarvata. Of the two, Radharani's better than Chandravali. Well, like a little better, marginally better. So in Ramananda Samvad, Ramananda, who's Vishaka Saki, we should remember, quotes the Gita Govinda. As Guru Maharaj says, quality gives us relief from mathematics. It's a very beautiful saying. Quality gives us relief from mathematics. We find what Ramananda says in Ramananda Samvad, then we understand. It's not that she's marginally better than Chandravali or other gopis. So what is he saying? Radha Madaya Hriday Tatyaja Braja Sundari. That descriptions vary from anywhere. That the Rasa Leela has millions of gopis, billions of gopis, or trillions of gopis. And remember, on the basis of what I just said, each one, their beautiful forms are the outcome of their dedicated devotional tendencies. And remember, these gopis, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabhis Tabbiri Eva Nijarupataya Kalavi. As Krishna expands and Radharani expands, these gopis are inconceivably beautiful and unique. There are no two that are identical. Sriman Rasa Rasa Rangbi Bangshi Bhatta Tatastita Karshan Venu Swanai Gopi Gopinatha Sriyastana. Krishna's playing the flute, summoning the gopis for rasa. So we think, what can be higher than that? But this is the Rupanuga line. Raghunath Das Goswami is the Prayojan Tattva Acharya, is a Rupanuga. So, and this is from Srila Guru Maharaj. Otherwise, how can we possibly speak of these things? He makes these sort of observations. So he says, the Rasa Leela, he says, that's a general thing. Like many different groups, so all the groups are there. Remember, sometimes we hear 3 billion. All the different groups of gopis are participating. Saying, but Dibyad Brindaranya Kapadrumadha, Srimad Ratnagar Singhasanastho, Srimad Radha, Srila Govinda Devo, Prestali Bi Sevyamano Smarami. So we have Madan Mohan, Govinda, Gopinath. But with Govindaji in the center, where Rupa Goswami is located here, and the Govindaji deity, Presta Alibi means with a selected group of gopis. By inference, it means Srimati Radharani's group alone. So these are more exclusive group and pastimes. Vishaka, who's also expert at singing and dancing, sing and dance. And everyone is wowed, as we can imagine. And you imagine someone is, because we know in this world when they say like someone's like the best singer or the best dancer, but what if you actually are like the best singer or dancer in like all the 3 worlds? How can Vishaka Saki sing and dance? We can't imagine. But she does, and then that causes Lalita to come out and sing and dance. And let's just say that she surpasses Vishaka. Which there would be no argument. But then Radharani seeing this, thinking like, oh, I see, I'm like one of the gopis assembled here. Right? So as Guru Maharaj's deity is named Gandharva, and Saraswati Thakur's emphasis Gandharvika, means Radharani who's singing and dancing to enchant Krishna. And not just maintenance enchantment, but, mind-bewildering, Madan Mohan Mohini type bewilderment. So Radharani starts singing and dancing. And this is the most inconceivably beautiful, wonderful thing anyone's ever seen or heard. But taking it at Krishna like, so you think I'm one of the gopis? Of the trillion? So she's so superior singing and dancing, and Krishna's probably momentarily bewildered, and then she leaves in a huff at the equal treatment. Here you go. And there's so say a trillion minus one, right? So you get to think like hardly noticeable, right? A trillion minus one, right? But Krishna, he's saying like, what happened? And they're saying, why? He's saying, the whole quality of this experience is like going down. What happened? It's no longer so relishable, not to say that it's nothing, but he observed the whole quality of the experience, the quality has gone down. As Guru said, quality gives us relief from mathematics. One can be greater than a trillion in this type of math. So, what is Ramananda quote? Jayadev Goswami. One line from Gita Govinda. Radha Madaya Hridaye Tatyaja Braja Sundari. Radha Madaya Hridaye. His heart belongs to Radharani. Tyag, he gave up a trillion minus one for one and went in search of that one. That's spiritual math, to show this one, what are her qualities? Like, and then you could even think like, so you mean she's equal to a trillion gopis? No, it's just a number to work with. Krishna cannot estimate her qualities. But this helps us understand that she cancels a trillion gopis, Braja gopis, of the highest quality and order, a trillion of them. Krishna leaves behind to go search for this one because of her superior qualities, infinitely superior qualities. So Krishna goes searching for her, and that's aparam kasyapi prani janavrinda sukutuki rasottamam ridva maduram upabhoktam kamapiya rucham swam vavre ihadutim taryam satchaitanya devaskritir atitaram na kripayatu. In one of the Chaitanyastakams of Srila Rupa Goswami, saying that observing her, kutuki means curiosity. It awakened this curiosity in Krishna, what it is like to be her, to experience what she experiences. So, as Gurudev said, what is Mahaprabhu's tasting matter? Means, yes, he descended and delivered the Yuga Dharma. Bahiranga Sangekori, Nam Sankirtan. Right? Antaranga Sangekori, Rasa Ashvadam. But with a select group of his most confidential internal servitors, namely Ramananda and Sri Damodar, Rasa Ashvadan, he's tasting. But what is he tasting? This Krishna, we already said, he knows everything there is to know about enjoyment. Right? Again, Gurudev very simply saying, what is the difference between Narayan and Krishna? And Narayan, Vaikuntha, Narayan, one Lakshmi for one Narayan. We've seen the pictures. Rishi, you see one Lakshmi to one Narayan, a Lakshmi and a Narayan, Lakshmi, Narayan, Lakshmi, Narayan. And that's a wonderful thing. And what does Brahma Sangita say? Lakshmi sahasrasatasam brahma sevyamanam govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. Hundreds of thousands, millions and trillions of Lakshmis for one Krishna. Only one Krishna. But trillions of them for this one Krishna. So it gives us a hint of his enjoying capacity. So has Rasa Raj Krishna, who is the king of Rasa, right? Rasika Shekhar, and all these different places indicated. Has he come to try and understand the joy of union? He's the king of that. Right? So that's what he wants. He's come to this world. He wants to understand that. No. We're told that after he searched for her and found her, and then they're together, and then Radharani saying, "Oh, from all the singing and dancing, I'm exhausted. If you want to go any further, you have to carry me." So then Krishna is carrying Radharani, and then at one point he goes to sit her down. And when he places her down, her eyes are closed, she's thinking, I'm so fortunate. Krishna left 1 trillion gopis just to be with me. She understands math too. Right? And she's thinking like that, how fortunate I am. And it's at that moment when she's perceiving what is considered her greatest fortune, that Krishna vanishes. So when she opens her eyes, there's no Krishna. Now, we have to say, when one of the disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur presented this to him, he couldn't hear it even. This shows you the degree of his love for Radharani, his exclusive devotion. He refused to even consider this. The devotee, we could say innocently or whatever, brought up this subject. Saraswati Thakur said, why do you mention that? There's no devotion to be found there. Like dismissed. Right? He couldn't even think about it. That's how finely tuned his heart is with, Sri Barshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabde Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Prabhave Daini Namaha. Barshabhanavi means Radharani. Barshabhanavi Devi Daita, who's very dear to her. But Guru Maharaj, his thinking is, Radharani is always in the superior position. See, Guru Maharaj has a particular ontological method. So in his heart, he knows this and believes this, that Radharani is always in the superior position. So if apparently that's not being apparent, if that is not apparent in these pastimes, there must be some other way of interpreting them where she is still seen in the primary position. That's where he starts. And then he is scanning Bhaktivinoda Thakur and other things. And what he finds is that, like the Rupa Goswami slok, all these things are thematically and the Chinmoy threads connecting them. So Rupa Goswami says it awoken the curiosity in Krishna, seeing her. And the Radha Madhya Hriday Tatya, leaving all the Braja Sundaris to go search for her, etc. So He said he found in Bhaktivinoda Thakur that Krishna hid himself in a kunja. Right? And from there, he could see her. And he wanted to see, because he is already astonished by what she is exhibiting in union. But he thought, what is it like for her when she is separated from me? That I would like to see. And what he saw, that we can say from assembling various points of view and references, was when and that tree, Imli Tal, where he decided to descend as Mahaprabhu. And what is that going to be the tasting matter? What she experiences in separation, that he wants to experience. What he sees happens to her in separation from him. The Asta Sattvika Vikar, these different 8 types of ecstasy, simultaneously present to like an infinite degree, that he wants to experience. So when he comes there, when Guru said, what is his tasting matter? His tasting matter is separation. As Guru Maharaj says as well, hunger makes eating all the more enjoyable, right? There's even the common expression, hunger is the best spice, right? That is his tasting matter. Govinda Virahena, Viraha, Govinda Viraha, separation from Krishna. Why? Because the force of affection upon the heart, that's placed upon the heart, and separation, squeezes out a superior, the most superior type of Krishna prem, superior substance. Radha Bhava Duti Subalita. Those sentiments. Her particular type of self-giving, self-sacrifice, and the expression of divine love from her heart. And here supports Guru Maharaj's language of saying, he plunders the wealth of our heart, steals. Because I heard Guru Maharaj say this, and I accept that. But still, if someone pressed me, and I had to give it on, I say, oh, here in the Chaitanyastikam of Rupa Goswami, he's also saying steal, plunder. And for various reasons, we can say, the wealth of her heart, she does not want to part with easily. And the Arati song, you hear him saying, when she sees that Krishna is now enveloped in her heart, that, Manda Suha, she's smiling mildly. Krishna consciousness is Radharani's consciousness. That's what Krishna consciousness is. That's why he descended in the world, to give extensions of her consciousness to others. And it's called Krishna consciousness. She is Krishna consciousness personified. And to an extreme, a degree we cannot conceive. Rupa Goswami says in the beginning of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or the intro there, that, or its reference at one point, that 2 types of sneha, affection, love and affection, deep love and affection. One he calls Grita Sneha, and the other one Madhu Sneha. And Grita Sneha he compares to ghee. And he says, what is that? Symptomized by like, I am yours. To think, I belong to Krishna. I think, well, that's the right mood. Krishna Das, Radha Dasi. We belong to Radha and Krishna. That's very good. And that's Chandravali and her group, Radharani's opposition group. But Madhu Sneha the type of deep love and affection compared to honey is when they say, you are mine. They feel possessive over Krishna. Like those girls we saw in Vrindavan who assemble at the Kadamba tree to sing songs for thousands of years. The songs about Krishna climbing the Kadamba tree, stealing the garments of the gopis, playing his flute, punishing Kaliya, all these things. They feel that Krishna belongs to them. He is their Krishna. So Rupa Goswami said, that feeling that you possess Krishna, that is superior. And that's the type of possession, feeling of possession that exists in that realm of the higher servitors. But so Guru said, so one level, I am yours. Next level, you are mine. And he said, and then what do we get from the Mayavadis? I am you. And the quote, the former world's leading authority on Hinduism, A.L. Basham, when I heard him lecture in UCLA, and he's a closet, in my opinion, a closet Krishnite, and he said, on this whole, I am he, as you are me, and we are all together notion, he said, I don't know if I want to be you. I rather like being me. And in one line, he just showed the ridiculousness of this whole thing. He said, I don't want to be you. I want to be me. I just got to be me, kind of thing. It's different than self-oblivion, where someone is so lost in the other, it's as if they've lost their identity, but they've not. Right? Brahmaikatma, Kaivalya. Once when I was having a back and forth discussion with someone about sannyas names and the Vaishnava tradition and whether certain names were legitimate or not, and he suggested that, he said, well, this name Paramadvaiti, that's not a Vaishnava concept. Param Advaiti, supreme oneness. How is that named for a Vaishnava sannyasi? Guru Maharaj had given the name Bhakti Aloka Paramadvaiti. So when he was explaining this, Guru Maharaj began by saying, yes, oneness, that is the ultimate conclusion, the ultimate conception. We're going like, what? Prabhupada warned us about this. Is this not that poison raining into our ears? Of course it was not, and we weren't actually thinking like that, but I'm just trying to set this up. So, he said, oneness, that's the highest conception. And he said, but what is it? Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahayanya. When Radha and Krishna combine as one in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Bhakti Alokami, in the light of the conception of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, who's the divine combination of Radha and Krishna, that is our aspiration. Right? As we told, and Brahma Sangita, Krishna is described as Yang Shyama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam, Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham. The seductive beauty, charm, and sweetness of 10 million cupids personified as one. An inconceivably beautiful divine form. And Guru says, reality of the beautiful. So how do you improve on that? Right? So to speak. Then we hear Srimati Radharani, her divine quality. How beautiful and charming is she? Madan Mohan Mohini. As Krishna is so charming, he can break the stranglehold that Cupid has on the heart. Radharani, Mohan, he can bewilder Madan Mohan. Radharani, Madan Mohan, Mohini. She's so beautiful, charming, and irresistible to Krishna that he becomes bewildered in her presence. So how beautiful is she? We cannot express in this world. It's only alluded to in various places. When the queens of Dwaraka, when they go to Siddha Ashram, Kurukshetra, and they've heard about the beauty of Krishna's childhood sweetheart in Vrindavan, Radharani, and they're thinking, Rukmini, Lakshmana, Satyabhama, like, they know they're also inconceivably beautiful. They're thinking, how beautiful could she be? But they hear all these stories and that she has this pull on Krishna, that he's always feeling separation from her, from Vrindavan, but from her, she is Vrindavan. Radha, Anyara Hridoyaman, Vrindavan Moraman. Vrindavan is a construct of her heart, right? Her heart soil. It's made out of that. So they're wondering, and when they go, and they're waiting eagerly for a glimpse of Radharani, and she's brought in on a palanquin by the Brajagopis, and we're told, because we can't discuss her beauty in detail, but just through inference, the queens of Dwaraka, when they see the beauty of Radharani, they faint. They've never seen someone so beautiful, that they faint. Then we can have a hint of that. So if you combine Madan Mohan Mohini and Kandarpi Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobha Chintraguna Swarup Krishna, we can't, that's too much to even conceive. The combination, that you could combine them into one. So Guru Maharaj says, Svarna Koti Darpanava Deho Varna Gauravam Padma Parijata Gandha Banditanga Sauravam Koti Kami Murchitangri Rupa Rasarangaram Prema Dama Deva Meva Nomi Gaura Sundaram. As Krishna is, 10,000 cubits personified, seductive charm, beauty, sweetness, etc. 10 million cupids will faint to see the beauty of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Raso Dama Kamar Buddha Madhura Damodjala Tanur Jati Nam Utanksha Starani Koti Vidyoti Basana Hiranyanam Lakshmi Varana Biva Angika Rucha Satchetanna Kame Punar Apidashor Yas Yati Padam Raso Dama Kamar Buddha. 10 million cupids in full-blown cupidity. Raso Dama Kamar Buddha. Madhura Ujjvala Tanu. That's how sweet and beautiful is the form of Mahaprabhu. So think, the beauty of Krishna, reality to beautiful, and the beauty of Radharani combined in one, it's too much to conceive. That's the beauty of Mahaprabhu. When Ramananda detects that Gauranga is Krishna, well, at first he's sort of discovering his identity. And it says, Gaura, Ange, Nahi, etc. Mahaprabhu says, actually, I'm not golden. You're right. No, you're Gauranga. He said, no, I'm not by my own nature. He said, but by Radha Sparshe, by the touch of Srimati Radharani, I've become golden. This is how he's revealing who he is. So you have a person who's saying, I'm not Gauranga, I'm not Gaura Anga, but by Radha Sparshe, I became Gaura Anga. And then to spell it out clearly, he says, whom does she touch? Whom does she embrace? There's only one person she embraces. Brajendranandan Krishna, Shyamasundar Krishna, only that person. So he's telling him, Indra, that's who I am. But by her touch, by her loving embrace, I've become Gauranga. Gauranga Sundar, but I'm normally Shyamasundar. So this thing actually can only be discussed with the bowed head and folded palms if we've heard something from our Guru Varga. But they describe these things all in a very delicate way. But the very fact that Krishna has descended as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha Bhava Duty Subalita, means she wins. Okay? She always wins. She's always in the superior position. What a tribute. There is no parallel pastime on her side. You understand? There is no such thing. He wants to embrace her position. She doesn't think like, I wonder what it'd be like to be the supreme enjoyer. That's anti-devotional mentality. And if someone says, oh, sometimes in separation the gopis imitate Krishna. That's true. And they're madness. But they're not trying to usurp his position as the Adi Purusha. Just in the madness of their separation, they're, sometimes, I've come to punish Kaliya. And, they've just lost their Gopi Bhav minds, waiting for Krishna to return. So they're enacting his pastimes as a means of remembering him, invoking his presence, but that Krishna has been converted into a devotee is just about the most amazing thing that's ever happened. So the higher devotees, they're devotees of Mahaprabhu. The highest devotees of Radha and Krishna are devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And once someone enters, gets a connection with their lotus feet, Vaishnava Sparshana, they undergo a transformation from an exploiting agent to a dedicating agent. But when they turn into a dedicating agent, then their heart is filled with aspiration and a sense of possession. Hare Krishna.